What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another live Pin the Gas podcast on this beautiful Mother's Day, because that's what it is today. I actually got in trouble earlier, but we won't get into that right now. I just want to say, man, big happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. It's nothing but love to every single one of you queens, because without you, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So there you go. And this episode is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Take control of your financial future. Get your complimentary financial analysis today by Seth Starnes. And ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor to get my man and legend, Justen Behmer, on the podcast in the hot seat today, man. What is going on?
Not much, just hanging in there.
Hanging in there? You've been enjoying your Mother's Day so far?
Yeah, not been too bad. It's
Yeah.
nice to finally not be racing on Mother's Day. I think it's the first time in like 14 years.
That's mom must be special, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome. It's makes it difficult on special weekends for family when
it
you go
does.
out and race, but that's part of the commitment and the journey. So yeah, man. So listen, Justin, dude, we got a lot to talk about. We only got an hour to get into it. Everybody that's in right now, there's a couple people listening. Stay tuned because me and Justin are going to schedule part two after this podcast ends. I plan on following Justin if it's okay with him throughout his career and keep him on the podcast, keep his name out there and help him in any way I can. So bro, dude, again, you don't understand the honor it is to have you on this podcast, man. It really means a lot to me, Justin. Thank you so much.
Right. It's
Um,
really cool to be on it.
listen, bro, we got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time. So let's just dive into it. Where did it start for you, your journey?
So started riding. I want to say my parents got me a electric four-wheeler at 18 months. And then from there we went to a electric pocket bike and then a PW50 on dirt. And then I moved on to a KTM SX50, so the automatic little bikes. And then I wasn't enjoying dirt that much because I'm not very good at dirt, I'd say. Um, and I don't like the instant stop, so it was a little tough there. But my dad found this club when I was 6 that does mini moto. So we got some supermoto tires, threw it on the little 50, went out and rode. Well, the first weekend ended up second in their little junior cup class. I had a lot of fun doing it. So then the following week, we got a CRF 50, and we found out the club was going to do another junior class the 2 weeks later. So we got a CRF 50. They got it all put together. And on Saturday, they taught me how to use the clutch in our neighborhood. I never shifted, used a clutch, nothing. And then on Sunday, we went and raced. And then
You're
after
like,
that,
thanks for throwing this monkey wrench in the program, mom and dad. What is this,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was
And then
definitely
throw me
tough to
out to
learn.
the sharks the next day. Okay, bye, have fun. You're like, wait,
Yeah,
what?
yeah, it was definitely interesting. So then I continued on the CRF 50 from 6 to, I'd say, when I was 10, I think is when I moved up to a NSR 50. So had a ton of fun on the NSR 50, learned a lot, was able to meet some cool people. Like, got a ride with Jason Madama, who raced Moto America. James Tittle was helping me a lot on the 50s. And then from there, when I was 13, we got a Ninja 300 from our friend Joe Maher, and we started racing big bikes with the MRA. And at that time, I was still running minis to try and, keep some riding in there when we aren't running big bikes. And then my first year was a big learning curve on the big bike. The starts were definitely tough being as small as I was at the time. And once I was rolling, it was better. But the first couple rounds definitely wasn't great. And then as the season went, we started to increase and go faster. And then the following year, we continued on the 300, started to have a lot of fun and started to understand some stuff. But that year, I think my best finish was like a second. I don't think I won very many times. So it was definitely still a big learning curve to try and understand big bikes and how different it is. And then from there, we went to um, we stayed on the Ninja 300 for another year because I wasn't old enough to go up to SV 650 that somebody we knew had. And then after that, I was able to win a few championships on the 300. Was extremely happy with it.
I know you went sideways there. I'm trying to
I
figure.
see
Like, I
if I
want
can get it back.
this.
There we go. So in 2020, I was able to start to feel really good on the big bikes. I was riding the Ninja 300, was riding with a lot of the 400s in the club, was starting to feel really good. So in 21, we decided to get a Ninja 400 and move up. And I went to the YCRS school, learned an extremely good amount of stuff, really helped transformed everything for me. And then from there, I think that was my most successful season. I want to say 8 championships between my Ninja 400 and ZX6.
Bro, legend status. I told
So
you was a legend.
yeah, so from there we went to CVMA in 22. I was able to meet Owen Williams and Kayla, which is right there. So it was cool to actually get out there, kind of see where I stood with everybody. And it was my first time racing it out of state. So it was definitely really eye-opening to see the difference in pace between here in Colorado and elsewhere. So we then made a decision after 3 rounds out there that we wanted to try Junior Cup and go to Moto America. Road Atlanta was our first one. It was definitely an interesting ride. First session, I didn't get a single lap in. We had a transmission that had a little something weird with it, so just go into a false neutral. So I didn't even get a lap in. So that definitely wasn't the best start to Moto
Right.
America.
That makes it difficult. You're like, I can't even ride the bike. I'm in neutral the
Exactly.
whole time. I could Fred
Yeah.
Flintstone it.
Exactly. So I made it up the hill, and then on the back straight coming out of 7, it went into the neutral, and I couldn't get it back into gear. So we ended up, my dad worked really, really hard to get the other motor into the bike that we had so that I could go out for Q1. And that being the first session was very interesting because you get such little track time there. And Road Atlanta is not something that I was used to.
It's a
We,
massive track too.
yeah, we have some elevation here in Colorado, but nothing like that. So
Nothing like Georgia.
no, it was definitely interesting. But from there, just kept working. And then I think I got like a 13th and a 12th in the races. So was pretty happy. But then we decided to go to Road America that year. And the first day was rough trying to learn that track and not really getting with people because I've never had to try and find drafts and all that because at Colorado we don't have long enough straights, and CVMA didn't really have long straights. It was all roll speed. So
You,
Road America,
you're like, there, I can make a sandwich, mom.
it's like
I can make a
yeah,
ham sandwich going down the straight.
yeah. The front straight and back straight, it was so long. It was like, and your lap times are so long, and you still get such a short amount of time that it just became really tough there to learn everything. But I was eventually able to understand the draft when it came time to the races. So my qualifying suffered, but in the races I was able to make some steps forward. And then Sunday we had the rain race. That was a lot of fun. I started 18th, made it up to 10th before the first red flag, and it was supposed to be a 4 lap race because of some oil that got laid down earlier in the day. We got shortened to 4 laps, and then because of the red flag, it became a 2 lap restart from original grids. So it was
Balls out for 2 laps, baby. Let's go. Right. Give
exactly,
it everything, which means so I'm gonna bend it or win it. That's basically what you're telling me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately, I think it was Avery who crashed on the first lap, which brought out the yellow um, when we headed towards the carousel. So that was unfortunate, but I was still able to make it in that second restart back up to 10th from 18th. So was really excited with that, but also was hopeful that I could have done better. But and then I think that year we also did Brainerd. Um, and Brainerd was definitely a tough one because we went and rode the Monday before, and then we went and rode with Moto America that weekend, what I didn't realize until after was all the braking boards were like 100 feet difference. So the 3 braking board was the 2 braking board from the track days. So that took
A minute to get used to. Yeah.
yeah, it was rough that whole weekend because I'm like, I was braking here and now I can't even get stops. Like,
What's
well,
going on? My
yeah,
brakes are bad. What is this?
yeah, I don't understand what's wrong. So it was interesting there. And then we came back home, started running MRA again for the rest of that year. I think I got 1 or 2 championships. Was pretty happy. And then I got the number 10 plate in ROR that year as well, which was really, really cool for me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then
Congratulations, man. Let me ask you this, man. Transitioning from the MRA to Moto America, it's quite a big jump as far as the way it's structured.
yeah.
How did you deal with that?
I think the big deal was just trying to stay relaxed and not think as much about like, oh, this is a really big level. The I really never felt a ton of difference from Moto America to MRA until my super sports season. But the first year in Moto America, it was all kind of just similar. It was to me just really fun and something new,
Yeah.
because it was just those 3 rounds. It was hit, not like we were stressed out doing everything and different things like that. So that definitely helped a
Oh yeah,
lot.
for sure. It's always like when you get to Moto America, the way everything's structured, it's like this strict military time, right? And I understand because there's so many classes, there's so much going on. You got a certain amount of time to get your tires and tire stickers and
Yeah.
yada yada yada, all that, right? So it's
Mhm.
just did that add any added pressure to you though?
I think the minimal track time was added pressure more than anything else. The tires, I don't know if that really affected us too much. I know we never used our full allocation. We were always quite a bit under that allocation. So for us, the time was actually nicer because it wasn't like we were trying to get in with everybody else. We had our own time that we could take our tires to get done. I think the one of the other hard part was the fuel, making sure you had enough fuel for the whole weekend and trying to do all the calculations and that stuff.
Is that something you did or your dad did? The fuel calculations?
So we kind of went off a junior cup because in
Okay.
junior cup we would do like 1 drum. In super sport we wanted to stay consistent, so we ran the spec fuel at club levels and track days, different things like that, so nothing changed. So at that point we started running 2 drums. Unfortunately in super sport we had one weekend at Laguna where we didn't have fuel because the VP wasn't there in time. So we had to go and find fuel, which thankfully my mom found some fuel from Andy DeBrino's dad. He gave us some fuel to make a Thursday session in 23.
Love it.
Because that weekend they gave us a 50-minute track familiarization on Thursday to try and lay down rubber. So that was a big learning curve.
Right?
Yeah, brand new tracks are not always amazing. They need a
No,
little
it's
bit of
it
rubber.
do you learning a new track, do you play like ride 5 or ride 4 to get the layout of the tracks?
So I'll play like ride 4, ride 5. I'll also do like a Assetto Corsa because I have little sim rig that I use. So I'll play like a Assetto Corsa, things like that, and that'll help because it's with the bike games. It's not the physics aren't great to me. They definitely lack a little bit. They're fun, but they lack in that industry. So using the like Assetto Corsa in F1 games, things like that for tracks that are in the F1 games, it is definitely a better feeling, and it doesn't like hold me up when I go onto a bike because driving, staying in a car sim and whatnot, you can brake later, you can feel that push. So that definitely was easier to transition, but I knew where everything went. And
You know
then
which direction to go, yeah.
yeah, and then a lot of like onboard videos was another major thing that helped. So
Imagine back in the day, man, before we had all this freaking onboard videos and all this, showing up to a new track and doing a little track walk and then getting out there and just letting it all hang out, right? It's
yeah.
it's yeah, it's definitely better nowadays than it was, obviously. Man, we actually got a couple people in the chat right now. We got Justin Bowling. What is up, Justin? He says,
Actually, have a piece right here from his bike.
I love it, man. I love it. Welcome to the show, man. He says, JB67. Let's fucking go. I love it. Andrew Davis. What's up, guys? What's up, buddy? He says, Road Atlanta, T2 to after T5 at pace beat Six Flags.
Definitely does.
I
On the
love it.
Junior Cup bike, it was interesting, but on the R6, it was so much fun.
Yeah, coming from a 400 to R6 is, like you said earlier, it's a big jump, right? It's a lot to
Yeah.
learn. It's powerful. It's heavier.
Mm-hmm.
It dances in a different way, right? So
Yep.
you got to learn to salsa dance with different women. That I always refer to motorcycles as women, right, Justin?
Yep.
So meaning that your 300 or your 400 is this beautiful bike, and you dance with her, so you learn her lingo and her language and what she likes, what she don't like. Then you jump up to a new bike. She's beautiful too, and you get on it. And the way she salsa dances, the way she moves is completely different. So you got to adapt yourself too as well to the motorcycles to get the best out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Gianovi Cruz, go JB4. Love it. I love it. How do you know Gianovi?
So Giovanni, he's
I,
actually one of
I
my.
said that wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, one sec. Here, give me 1 sec. Yeah. So Giovanni is actually one of my sponsors, the Radon guy. So I don't know if you.
I see it.
So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, so he is supporting me. Really nice dude. He actually saved part of my weekend. Because we had a radiator hose start to get a leak when the bike would sit in the pits, so we stole one off of his Gixxer. So it definitely
Thank
helped.
you.
Yep, so it really helped. Um, so, but yeah, Gio's a really good guy. I ride like IMI with him on a go kart track on like 300 and 400s. I have a blast there.
I bet, man. That's so. When you train during the off season or during the season, you still do mini moto a lot.
Yep. So
Yeah,
this Sunday I'll be doing mini moto. So should be fun.
dude. I love mini moto. To me, it's the most fun on two wheels because there's these little bikes, and dude, they give you so much feel. You know everything that's going on this little bike, right? And you're laughing, you run at each other, and yeah,
Yeah,
man.
they're definitely a blast. It's not as serious, which is, is a lot of fun too. Um, Not especially like my relaxation when we were doing super sport was mini moto because like super sport was stressful, making sure you always qualify, all that kind of stuff. And then coming back to do mini moto, it's just this relaxation. There's no stress, no pressure. I could finish last if I wanted to. Like was
It's
wasn't having to try.
it's almost like a little mini vacation.
Yeah,
You like how I
exactly.
said that, right? Little mini vacation. Yeah, dude, it's
Hmm.
awesome, dude. It is. He says, I'm gonna murder your name again. I'm just gonna call you Cruz. Hell yeah, the kid is fast, great coach too, and his dad. So you do some coaching too as well?
Yeah, so I do like one-on-one coaching with people sometimes before the track days, different things like that. I always try and help people that I see riding there, especially those that are like racing MRA. Always try and help them out because it's the more people that we can boost to get into ROR, the higher the payouts for us. So for me, it kind of helps benefit me, but it's also cool to see them grow as riders. So it's definitely
100%.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, it's all in helping our beautiful sport grow. That's what it's all
Yep.
about, you know? So, yeah, man, absolutely. So, which brings us to basically 2025, man. What's going on in 2025? How's your season been so far? Tell me about what bike you're riding.
So this year I'm on a 2018 ZX10. So it's definitely a lot different than what I've been riding.
Bet.
Last year I kind of got a little experience riding Justin Bowling's BMW for 3 races. So I got a little bit of 1,000 experience last year, which was really helpful. And then this year we decided since after the 600s, we decided to step up to the 1,000s, just keep growing as a rider and continue. And see if I can maybe chase the number one plate
You
is
can.
kind of the hope.
You can.
Um, so the first round was definitely had some confidence inspiring moments and then some learning moments. That one's for sure.
I gotta
Um,
change my undersuit. Where's my extra undersuit?
yeah.
I've had those
So,
moments.
oh yeah, that is definitely for sure.
Yeah, coming from a 600 to 1,000 is like,
It, you think it would be simpler than coming from like a 400 to a 600, but it's so different. Like 600s, you're still trying to carry some roll speed. You aren't doing the stop and go. 1000s, you got to get it turned so early. It's so different. Trying to figure that out.
the lines, everything's completely different.
Yeah,
Everything.
you turn in later, which has really been throwing me off a lot because I have a habit of turning in early. So I'm turning in extremely early now. So it's definitely been a huge learning curve, but we're slowly getting there.
You will, man. You have all the talent in the world, and you're gonna make it, my friend. 100%. I have no doubt about that at all. Just I haven't known you very long, but just sitting here the past 21 minutes, 22 minutes talking to you, your attitude, your energy, the way you thought process and all that. Yeah, you absolutely got what it takes, my friend. And I
Appreciate
can't
that.
wait to see you bring home those number one plates again, right? But
It's the
you
goal.
know, sorry, moving from the 600 again to a ZX10. I got my good buddy Sammy Pinero. He's in the house. He says Cowie gang because he's got his ZX10 too, right? So he's all about it. Now you're one of his favorites for sure. Anybody with a Kawasaki is all
Yeah.
in. Sammy says my 2018 ZX10 was 20 times better than my 21 ZX10.
Yeah. I've heard pros and cons between both of them. So,
There's always a yin and a yang between the models and the years, right?
yep.
This because you freaking win championships or races. It's always a compromise. That's one thing I think a lot of, I don't want to say misconception, but a lot of the fans that watch you on TV or come up to this, watch you live, they think there's always like this perfect setup. He must have it set up perfect. It's not. It's always a give and a take on, especially racing on a motorcycle.
Yep.
You make one area feel good, but then you make other areas shitty, right? So now you
Hmm.
got to change your style a little bit to adapt to where it's weak and still use it all on your strong points too as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, man, it's definitely and it's a mind game,
it is.
big time. Justin says, and the bike wasn't set up for him on tires he hadn't ran and beats my best time by a half a second. I was salty, but was screaming, go faster.
Yeah, it was interesting. I actually got a really good start, and according to everybody that was sitting with him, he was screaming for me to go faster. So it
I love
was
it, man. I love
cool.
one thing that I love about our beautiful circus, and I say it all the time, is the family and the friends you meet along the way, right? Same thing when you first get into motorcycles, Justin. You never
Mhm.
thought you'd be where you are right now and how much it affected and changed your life.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. L- Let me ask you this: how do you keep friendships separate at the track, meaning that obviously you race with Justin and all these other
Mhm.
guys, so how do you keep that separated? Because when you get on the track, obviously the visor goes down, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna rip your head off, like you're done, right? But then when you come back in, it's, yeah, let's fire up some hot dogs and have a cold beer and chat.
Yeah. So for me, it's just one of those like it's once we get on the track, we're all enemies, right? We want to beat each other. We want to win. And it's the in pits, it's all about just you want to be clean. You don't want to be taking each other out, even though you want to be aggressive, but not overly aggressive where you're hitting each other. So it's been one of those where I found people that I trust on the track. Once you build that trust, it's easy to remain friends in the pits and also enemies on the track. Like
I like it.
one of my favorite guys to race with is Ken Yee. Really good guy. Love to talk to him in the pits. On the track, I get frustrated all the time because he would basically just make me do all the hard work, pushing at the front. He'd just follow, and then the very last lap, he'd make a pass, so I'd have no opportunity to get back. So, like, really fun racing with him, but sometimes frustrating on the track. But as in the pits, we're here just to have fun.
Yeah.
you know, Unfortunately, with where we are in the club level, there's not a ton of beat. It's not like we're making thousands and thousands of dollars where it's gets really frustrating.
Yeah, yeah,
I
when
think that
well,
definitely
especially
helps.
when yeah, for sure, when there's a lot of money on the line, it drastically changes the dynamic, right? Let's just
Yeah.
be honest, because everybody's, looking for, and I hate the word sponsorship, but friendships and to, keep next year going and next year going,
Yep.
so when it comes down to that, yeah, tensions rises and all that good stuff. Let me ask you this, man, preparing for battle over the weekend is what I always call it. Do you have any certain superstitions you do or certain rituals you do as far as left boot on before my right boot, music or anything like that?
Um, I always toss my suit on the ground before I crawl in it. And I actually lay on the ground as I get in my suit. So I never like I've seen some people that can stand up and put their suit on. I always toss it on the ground, make sure it's hits the ground once. And then I'm always right boot. So like with my super text, it's right in boot, left in boot, right boot, left boot. And then always the right glove first, never the left glove.
Always, always the right glove. I love it. Um, you know, eh, motorcycle racing is such a mental game. I mean, it's probably besides golf one of the most mental games that there is that we play, right?
Hmm.
How do you mentally overcome a bad weekend and still
Usually,
push yourself, right? Because you still gotta. It's like barriers pop up, right, in the
mhm.
game, so you gotta overcome those hurdles and still find a way to, yeah, put in those fast laps.
I think the big deal is just finding people that constantly believe in you to help really boost back up. Like, I struggle with in a certain class, and then like Justin Bowling was there, I'd have a frustrating race at Chuck Wall and Bowling would always boost me, you know, or my dad would boost me or my mom, just somebody that would always help boost that, you know, your downs. And then like at Moto America, my sponsor Walt Volk and Mike Now, they were always in my corner. I have a bad session, they're always there, like, you did so good, you're living the dream, like this is so great. So it would always help revamp, and then you kind of start to just put that behind you and not think about it.
Yeah, 100%. Justin, I tell people that it's so important on whatever team you're on to have people behind you at all times. That positive energy that always, yes, you made a mistake, but dude, again, you're living the dream. You're here, right? Just put it behind
Yeah.
you and keep moving forward. Versus if you was in a team with the negative side coming at you, man, it just destroys your mental game, and it's yeah, I say that all the time. It's like a perfect example. This is an example I give to people. Valentino Rossi, the absolute GOAT, left Yamaha, went to Ducati. They never believed in him fully, and it destroyed him mentally for those 2 years. Let's
Yep.
just be honest, right? He come back on the Yamaha, and it still took him a while to actually win again. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very important to have those positive people. And one thing that I love about our sport is a beautiful journey. Everybody starts with the dad and the son or the dad and the daughter buying the little PW50s, a lot of them dirt
Yep.
bikes, right? And it's like, I don't like dirt bikes, and then you get on the road, you're like, oh my God, it's so much better. And
Exactly.
here we are, right? It's absolutely freaking Sammy says, so my buddy Sammy works for Moto America. He says, I'll be looking for you coming down pit lane now.
Hopefully at Coda, if we
Yeah,
can
hopefully.
put everything together, we're gonna try and make that round.
Yeah. Have you been to Dakota before?
Yes, I have. If I want to say, I have probably 22 laps there from my super sport days, and that was not our best weekend to say the least. That was a frustrating weekend. I think on Friday I got a grand total of like 7 or 8 laps. So
That
it was,
hurts.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was not enjoyable, to
No,
say
I
the
mean
least.
it's man. Well, I can't talk today. One of the roughest things, too, is when you show up on a weekend and you just start off on not just one back foot but two back feet, and it's just
Yep.
like it's mentally draining, physically, and it's like, what are we doing? We need
Mhm.
to. That's when I feel like people kind of get in a rush, in a hurry. Hey, we got to make big jumps. We don't barely have any seat time instead
Yep.
of still being and that's when the team comes in, man. Just relax, listen to your favorite music, do some jumping jacks. Do we got this, right? We'll take care
Yep.
of this. You take care of this. Go out there and have fun,
Hmm.
So yeah, man. Yeah, dude. So how many more races you got left this season?
So with the MRA, we have 4 more rounds. And then one of those rounds is an endurance round. They've MRA paired up with Legion Superbike to run their endurances. So that round will be very busy for me because as of right now, I run both endurance races, the 2 hour featherweight endurance and the 4 hour endurance.
Seat time. Seat
Yep.
time, baby. I listen, I'm a huge fan of endurance racing, Justin. I think it is the not only the best bang for the buck, but I feel like anybody that does endurance races, especially if you have 2 or 3 teammates, right? You
Hmm.
learn so much more. And what I mean by that is the bike's not I might weigh more than you, right? I might be
Yeah.
taller. I like my clip-ons here. You might like your so you find this happy medium, smedium, right?
Yep.
Compromise for all the riders, suspension and everything. And but you still go out there and you learn to adapt to that certain setup, which makes you, in my opinion, a better rider because you're learning to adapt to it, right? So you're learning
Yep.
to adapt certain circumstances that you're not
Mhm.
familiar with. And then when you do finally get back on your bike, you're like, I went 3/10 faster. Like, I don't know how, right? It's
Yeah.
because of that too, as well. So yeah, good on you on that, man. It's awesome. I love
Yeah.
endurance. So much fun.
It's always one of my favorite rounds just because you're with a team. The camaraderie is amazing all the time. Even if you're having a terrible race, it's still a fun time and everybody's excited to be part of it.
Absolutely, it is. At the end of the day, we do it because we love it and we're having fun.
Yep.
When you're not having fun, it's like the worst thing ever. I don't like to
Yeah.
say that, but honestly, it is. You're like, what am I doing here? I'd rather be at
Exactly.
home Netflixing it or something, right? Yeah, mowing the
Hmm.
lawn or something. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I feel you on that. So out of all the racetracks you've been to, which one's your favorite?
Um, I'd say Almira, Spain, just because there was no bumps. That track was amazing without the bumps. Here in the States, it'd probably be a toss up between Podium Club and the Ridge. Um, because both of those were just absolutely just a blast. I've never gotten to race at Podium Club, but doing the track day massacre the past 2 years, it was just a blast. And both directions is fun. It's a very different style of riding. You have a fast section, slow section, really, really hard braking. It's interesting. And then the ridge is this like flowy kind of roller coaster. Your markers are like trees or where the wall ends or a water tank. So it's interesting.
It's
It's a
old
bunch of
school
fun.
way of racing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Cruz Gianovi says especially when mom cooks and feeds us, and that's a fact. 100% time mama cooks is good meals.
Yeah. She's this weekend she made a chicken parmesan and spaghetti for us on Friday night with Justin Bowling found this recipe for I think it was banana cheesecake Rice Krispies. So it was like this Rice Krispie pie crust almost with banana cheesecake in it.
Mm,
And it
sounds
was
good.
amazing.
That sounds amazing. That funny you said chicken parmesan. That's what I'm eating at my mama's house tonight. We're making chicken parmesan. Homemade. Yeah, I
Nice.
love it, man. I love it. Good stuff, man. Yeah, your expectations going into this season, did you have any?
I wanted to be close to Brad Hendry, who's our number one plate holder. I wanted to be able to run with him and eventually try and beat him, which that round one I was able to in one race. And then the second race we had a sprocket round. So didn't quite go to plan, but I was just happy to finish and collect some points. So it was definitely interesting. But it was cool to ride with Brad and be able to see, okay, I am able to do this. Now we just have to put everything together to do it in the long race and the one that really matters.
Yeah, man. Iron sharpens iron. So when you get behind somebody that's fast, you can hold on to them. You get to see what they're doing that you're not doing. You're like, oh, okay, let me
Mhm.
try that next lap, right? And it might take a couple laps because it feels a little foreign, but that's how you learn and progress too, as well. Dude, you got
Yeah,
this, bro. At the end of the season, you're gonna be number one.
hopefully it's the goal.
I love it. So tell us, man, who's all on your team and what exactly do they do?
So right now it's just my family. So it's me, my dad, and my mom. My dad does all the maintenance, the mechanic stuff. I'll run the tires down to get them all changed. I'll swap out change the tires on the bike. But my dad does a lot of the in-depth maintenance, and then my mom's always there being supportive, making sure we have everything we need, making sure we have food to eat.
I was gonna say, make
Definitely a
sure. Are
big
you
thing.
hungry? No, I'm good, mom. I got some pasta salad over here waiting on you.
Like always something, we have all these meals, and then like we have bowling, who's we've kind of brought into our family and kind of the team, and he's one of the other riders, but it's something that helps me, because I can go out with him, and even if we aren't going the same pace, I'm able to learn something from what he's doing and then adapt it to what I'm doing to make me go quicker. So it's really helpful when having that somebody that you can go out with consistently that isn't against you following them.
Yeah,
So that's always the catch, is there somebody that's not going to be okay with you following them?
100%. And there's a lot to being said. Uh, Sharing data with competitors. Because you feed off each other, and you want to race them properly and win proper. But it also elevates everybody else's game. It helps you out, which is going to turn help them out too, right? There's
Yep.
a lot of people in the paddock that don't want to share shit, right? Let's just be honest. They're
Yeah.
like, I ain't telling them none because they feel like they're giving their secret sauce away.
Oh yeah.
If there's a such thing as secret sauce in racing, right? Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as secret sauce. It's all
No,
right
because
here. This is the
it's all
secret sauce.
mental, and
It is.
how you ride is going to change everything. So you can give somebody the same bike as somebody else, and they aren't going to go the exact same pace.
No, absolutely. It's funny because you hear a lot of street guys are like, yeah, I'm a bolt on this whatever rear shock, and I'm like, that's not going to cut no lap times, right? You need to set it up. I'm a big into people need proper training. People need to go to schools. People need
Yep.
to get riding coaching. That's what really elevates your game, and um, it a lot of people I talk to, I feel like it's hard for people, especially coming from the street into the track, to leave their egos to the side. Uh,
Mhm.
Nobody likes to eat that big old slice of humble pie, right? But then when you think you're fast on the street, you get on the track, you get this little 14-year-old just railing on the outside on this 300-400, and you're like,
Yep.
wait, what? So
Exactly.
I got a lot to learn. It's like, don't spend the 30,000 to 40,000 on the BMW and the Ducati or the R1. You don't need it. Buy $3,000 $4,000 $5,000 300 400. Go out there and learn the proper craft. Take coaching, right?
Yep.
Then you can step up. Ask Justin; he'll tell you 400 to a 600 is a big jump, but a 600 to 1,000 is like a whole new level, right? But
Yep.
imagine if you didn't have all that back training on all those smaller bikes and you just went out there and got a 1,000 and jumped on it. You'd be like, mine, what warped? Like,
Yeah.
this is absolutely insane.
Hmm. It's crazy to try and even understand how people just go straight to a 1000, and sometimes they're quick, but it's trying to understand how they're quick. To me, is
It's
just baffling.
it, bro. You watch him, you're like, dude, that looks easy. You get out there, you're like, yeah, this is not easy. Because the 1,000 wants to fight you all the time.
Yeah.
It's got so much power. Every time you come out of the corner and you're well, it's different because you point and shoot, right? And you
Hmm.
pull up the bike to get on the fat part of the tires. You get on, you pull Danny Perdosa style riding, right?
Yep.
And every time you come out of the corner, you're like, hold on to this thing. So, and then you got the traction control and the engine brake and all that stuff that you got to learn
Yeah.
too. And your dad, because your dad's got three full-time jobs. He's 5 full-time jobs. He's a husband, he's a dad, he's Justin's mechanic, he's Justin's driver. So I love that about our sport because
Mhm.
families are everything. Just like what Justin Bolin, he just got done saying. He says, the family I never had, but the family I always needed. Love the Beamers. Love it, man. Robert Brown, what is up? He says the Beamer family is such a blessing to have in the pits. Love. Sammy says, yep. uh, what does the number 67 and the number 4 come from?
So the number 67 comes from my uncle's race number, who passed away from cancer. That's where we came from, the 67. When I first started racing, I was 17, which was my mom's race number when she was on the peak. And then from there, we went to 217 because I wanted to have a 3-digit number for MRA. And unfortunately, one of the guys that raced MRA passed away racing the peak. So that number was retired. So then from there, we started to transition. We ran 211, just because it matched in line with who I was riding with at the time. And then we went 610, which was my uncle's birthday. And then from there, I wanted a 2-digit number. So we couldn't figure it out. 17 was already taken. And then we decided to go with 67 since it's my uncle's number. And then the number 4 is actually from getting the number 4 plate last year in the MRA. So that's where that one comes from. So I was just
Love it,
wanting to run
man.
a single digit number, be a little different than prior years.
I love it, man. I love it. That's one thing I ask. Like, where do you come up with your number, Fred? As soon as you said 67, the first person I thought of was Shaky Byrne. Like, yeah, the legend Shaky 64, Josh Hayes, right? Like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's just what I think of. So, Sammy says, your mom raced as well? That's so badass.
Yeah, she raced quads on the Pikes Peak hill climb and doing ice racing and some other hill climb stuff. So it was definitely really cool.
So speed is in the blood.
Yep. And then
Speed is in the blood.
my dad did a little MRA. I think he did like 1 year of MRA back in the day.
I love it, man. I
So
love it. I love it. I love it. Well, listen, man, this has been a lot of fun. We're almost 42 minutes into this. I want to transition into the second part of the podcast, or I'm going to ask you some personal questions and find out
sounds
stuff
good.
about you that probably nobody knows about, right? But all the other stuff, dude. Again, after this, we'll schedule part two. What's up, my queen?
We need to pick up Lynn between 4:30 and pounds.
All right, I got you. We got to pick up my aunt going to my mama's house. So, um, let me ask you this. Are you a coffee drinker?
Nope. I don't
No.
like the smell of coffee, so I've never even tried it.
Coffee's good, man. Coffee is good. Tell us something we don't know about you at all.
I don't know. It's tough. Probably that I'm not big on working out. Not one of my favorite things to do at all. So
No gym weekends for me.
no, it's my favorite way of working out is just being on the bike.
That's a fact. Look, Samer Panero, she said, wrap that shit up again. Yeah. So the other day I was on a podcast and I was short on time. She's like, you better wrap that shit up, like on that the TV show Dave Chappelle, you know, with that little skit he said with it pulls out, you better wrap that shit up, B. Yeah. I'm gonna buy one of those so when she could open the door and be like, wrap that shit up, son. Love it. Oh my God. So what's your worst habit?
I think my worst habit is probably just sitting around doing absolutely nothing.
Procrastination.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
We all have that. We all deal with that. Trust me. I love it, dude. Everybody knows, dude. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Is that something you do too as well?
No, I don't listen to a ton of audiobooks. I'm not actually very big on books, just in general. Never been something that I've gotten into.
I got you. I got you. Well, I'll recommend one for you. You should listen to is John Hopkins Leathered. So next time you're driving a couple hours to the track or you're in the gym, which is never, but you enjoy the book, man. It's absolutely amazing. As far as podcasts go, do you listen to any podcasts at all?
I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. Like I'll jump on, catch some of yours. I'll catch the one with Rispoli and Corey Alexander. I'll
Pipe
watch a
dreams.
little. Yep, I'll
Yep.
watch some of those. And then that's pretty much about it. I don't do, watch a ton of the podcasts just because it's not something I always get into.
Yeah.
But if I'm driving and have good connection, sometimes I will jump on and listen.
Well, I appreciate it. It's an absolute honor. You listen to the podcast, my man. It really is. That's freaking awesome. That is awesome. So let me ask you this, Justin. What are your goals in road racing? Like, what do you set out to achieve?
I really just want to try and, get to a level where, like at Moto America, starts to be where I can, make enough to sustain my racing in Moto America. But I also want to try and help grow the sport. I want to get to be part of the YCRS school, maybe eventually coach for like the Pridmore, the JP43 training would be really cool to try and be able to do that because I went there and had a ton of fun. It was really great and it was really cool to, say you've gone through the Pridmore school.
Absolutely.
So
And
trying to
he's a
just,
legend.
Yeah, really cool guy too. You know, anytime I had questions at Moto America, he's like, "Here's my phone number. Just send me a text."
Yeah, I have when he raced for Michael Jordan, they gave little baseball cards out, so I collected all of them. So when I went to VIR the last year, I'm glad they're coming back, but the last year they raced there, I brought it with me because I was like, dude, I'm absolutely gonna get Jason to sign this. And as soon as he seen it, he's like, bro, dude, this is awesome. He's like, I ain't seen him in years. I was like, hell yeah, you know. So yeah, dude, I freaking love it, man. Um, who's your favorite comedian?
Probably Fluffy.
Fluffy's hilarious. I've been listening to a lot of Gary Owen lately. Gary Owen has me crying laughing. Do you work? Do you have a job?
Yep.
Where you
I
work
do.
at?
I work for a company called Topaz Energies, doing like data entry and data analysis. So it's really nice because I work remote, so I can work from the track. I can work, at home, different things like that. Um, but it's also really helpful because the owner, her husband, races and actually races with MRA. So she knows the schedule. So she knows like when I'm going to be at the track, all that stuff. So if I do need to go up to her office, she knows which days already, and then she'll be like, "Hey, can you come up?" So it definitely helps out. You
Oh,
know.
that's another thing that makes it really easy on road racers is when you have a job that understands that you need the time off and they allow you to do it.
Yep.
It's yeah, man, it makes a big difference. Real quick, I want to ask you about riding at Alamero, man. What an amazing track. What brought you out there?
So in January, when I was at CVMA, I received a message from MDR Competitions, and it was an offer to come race Moto 2 for him in the Junior CIV Moto 2 series. So we had started talking with them, and we decided to try and get a test day just to make sure, if we find sponsors that could get us there and help pay for it, is it an atmosphere that would work? So we figured out a way. We got the test day with them. It ended up being a 3-day test. So day one was on a R6, one of their super stock R6s. That way I could learn the track on a bike that I already knew, which was really helpful.
Yeah.
Because I understood the R6s and had an idea of how to ride them. So it took one aspect away from trying to learn the track. And the videos don't do that place justice at all. It is a lot more elevation than it seems. So that was definitely a learning curve. And then the track is a lot tighter than it looks in videos. But I don't not certain what kind of material they used, but the track is very smooth because they don't allow cars, and the grip is really, really high. So you could carry so much speed around very tight corners. So it was a big learning curve. And then so day one was just spent learning the track, understanding where everything went, the lines, that kind of stuff. And it was a really cool experience, and it really helped me set me up for the Moto 2 because I had never actually worked with a team before. It's always been a family team. Yeah, I had like Walt Vogue, one of my sponsors, would come and help. Micro Now, they'd help at Moto America, but it was never quite like this. Like I'd come in, they'd grab the bike, I'd have my little chair in the back, they'd pull the data, and then they'd go over the data. They'd ask like, "Hey, any issues? Anything we need to work on?" They'd look at the data, see what the reason for the problem was, and then we'd go over the data and they'd make the change. So that the first day was trying to understand that was really impressive, and took a minute.
Weird.
Yeah, it was
Weird. Yeah,
weird.
you're
It's
like,
like
wait,
I don't have to do tire pressures. I don't have to do fuel. I don't have to start the bike. Like
I don't have to put my tire stickers on. What?
they roll the bike out for me. I just hop on it. So it was really different and fun to understand. And then the second and third day was spent on the Moto 2 bike. Um, and that was really, really cool and very different. Um, that bike turned in and did everything so well. Like the issues that we had were so minute issues that it's like they don't even really seem like it's something that we need to work on, but we would work on these little things and it would help a lot. And then, you know, it was that same deal come in. I don't know how to turn the bike off. Um, so that was definitely interesting. And then I couldn't put the bike in gear, so they had me rolling. So they'd push me off. So it was definitely a really cool experience. You just get to ride. There was nothing else I had to focus on. But unfortunately, we weren't able to find the funding for this season just because of the short notice we had. And it was nobody's real fault on that one. It just came together too late. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get the funding to do the Moto 2 season with them. But it was definitely a cool experience to get over there. And the
Oh.
times were really, we were really happy with the times and the pace on used tires. So it was definitely cool.
So in the future, CIV Moto 2, here we come. Let's go. I
Hopefully.
love it. Yeah, dude. That's well, we don't have much time left. But riding the Moto 2 bike, which is a proper GP chassis, coming from a sports bike, a soft chassis is what I call it.
Yep.
It's completely different. The front, the way you ride the front, the way you release the front brake versus a production bike, the chassis affects everything.
Oh, yeah.
Was that like hard for you to wrap your mind around?
Honestly, the hardest part was realizing how much braking you can really do and the power of the front brakes. And the forks were so amazing. They would not flex under braking, but mid corner you'd feel this like little flex to help hold the line. So it was a really, I think the biggest learning curve was just understanding how to ride the bike. You know, it had so much weight on the front, where on like production bikes, you try and transfer some more weight to the front. The Moto 2 bike, we're sitting so far back that it was, they made a little foam block for me that was like this thick, that we used. And I was up against that the whole lap, basically. That was a big learning curve, trying to be stretched out on the bike and not so towards the front. I think that was even harder than anything else. And then
Yeah.
also understanding how the engine braking works.
Yeah. I could imagine. Yeah, it's a completely new girl, new dancing technique, right? So yeah, man, you know what? It'll work out. It'll absolutely work out. You'll go to the CIV Moto 2 and be winning championships. We'll be screaming for you on the Moto GP app one day. Let's go. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, listen, Justin, dude, this has been a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to get off here before my wife comes in here and absolutely murders me live on this podcast. I'm just joking, she won't. But yeah, dude, this has been a lot of fun. I'm gonna let you end the podcast here real quick. First thing I want to say is thanks everybody who tuned in and joined. If you happen to miss this, it'll be out everywhere tomorrow. If you want to rewatch it, you can go directly to my YouTube. Again, if it wasn't for Justin and everybody else coming on here, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So it's nothing but love for every single one of you guys and girls out there. And if you've not had the chance yet, please go hit that like and subscribe, that bell, that ding, ding, ding. It does help me out a whole lot, and I greatly appreciate it. Big shout out to Next Level Financial, bisontrack.com, Chef Eats, TST Industries, the Clothing Kings.co.uk, Superbike Supply, SFL Mini GP, RD Racing, Vet2 Track, Flying Eyes Optics, 64 Degree Racing, Ghetto Customs, Carnes Performance, KYT Helmet, K-Tech Suspension, RTR, Coleman Power Sports, McLeo Escapes Track and Tour, Road Racing World, STG, Venom Undersuits, BTR program, Racer 411 program at tippingracing.com, Cole King at King Performance Turn 12, and Obsession Engineering. That's a lot. Anyway,
Definitely.
Justin, the floor is all yours. Tell everybody where they can find you on the social medias. If you have any merch for sale, tell everybody where they can go and buy it and show you nothing but all the love and support.
So currently I'm just on like Instagram, Justen.Behmer. And then Facebook is Justen Behmer. But it's all with an EN, not an IN. That's the big catch. So my Facebook page and my actual Facebook profile are both just Justen Behmer, so it's really simple. We're working on coming out with some merch here shortly. We have a logo, thankfully, due to a sponsor that actually made me a logo, that came out really, really good. So hopefully soon we'll have them on some shirts, and those will be popping up on the page.
I love it. Well, you let me know when you get some shirts made, buddy, because I want to purchase one from you, and I'll support you by wearing it on the podcast and giving you shout outs. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was an absolute honor to have you on this Mother's Day, right? So yeah, what I'll do is I will give you a call, shoot you a text. We'll go ahead and schedule our part 2. And yeah, man, freaking awesome. I hope the rest of everybody enjoys your Mother's Day. And on that note, we are out of here. We'll see you later. I'll give you a call, Justin.
Sounds good.
See you guys.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.